Yes, 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 yes. Thank you. Welcome, welcome wherever you are. This is a very important session. I want us to take this opportunity to welcome our viewers. Let us share this broadcast with everybody so that we'll be able to have everybody getting in. We are just about to start this very special program in the Trumpet of Hope. And I want to make sure that everybody feels welcome. We are just about to begin a very important discussion on the Kenya Diaspora Remittances Survey. And with us in the studio is the CBK Governor, Dr. Patrick Njoroge. And I know we're going to have a beautiful moment. So I'm just giving a few seconds to everybody so that we can log in and we can share this broadcast with your friends. I know we have done this before, and I know we are going to have a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful moment together. My name's Captain Njoroge, and I hope that everybody is feeling welcome. I don't know where you're tuning in from. I want to make sure that you write down on the comments segment on where you are, and I know things will be good and all the same. We're going to have a beautiful moment together. So let me see what is happening. Thank you so much. This is the Trumpet of Hope, and I'm the captain. And we are going to have a beautiful moment. And on the other side, you can see the CBK Governor, Dr. Patrick Njoroge. I hope that we are all clear. I hope that the audio is okay. If at all it's not okay, let me know. If at all it's okay, let me know. And then things will be good. So welcome once again to the Trumpet of Hope. I want you to feel welcome. Karibu sana, Governor. This is home.
Thank you very much, Captain Njoroge. Thanks for the welcome. And good afternoon, good morning, good evening to all the diaspora, wherever they are.
Thank you so much. So how is Jamhuri? You know, we miss Jamhuri, some of us. I hope that...
I know, I was there for more than 20 years, so I know the feeling of, missing home, missing Jamhuri. The Jamhuri is good. The rains have come, and as you know, you have to begin by talking about rains. And then you can ask about the children, then you can ask about other things, but yeah, things are okay. And we do hope that everything, wherever you are, that you are all safe, and also that your families back home here are also safe.
Thank you so much, and welcome to the Trumpet of Hope. I know there's so much that we are going to talk about, but specifically geared to the Diaspora Remittance Survey. And I just want to make sure that everybody feels at home. If you're there and you're tuning in, let me know where you are tuning in from, and make sure that you share this broadcast with your friends and with your relatives, and let us make our governor feel that this is the right place to be. Thank you so much, the pillars of the Trumpet of Hope and all our fans, all our supporters. We like it when we come together for such a very special moment. So, Bwana Governor, I know this particular Diaspora Remittance Survey. Let us first of all take a minute and introduce that particular issue, so that after that we'll be able to dig deeper and know exactly what it is. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Captain. And again, I feel very welcome here at the Trumpet of Hope. And I also want to give special thanks to the DCM in our embassy in Washington, who was instrumental in connecting us. And so here I am talking to the diaspora all over, obviously all over the US and beyond. As I understand, this goes beyond the limits of the boundaries of the United States of America.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of what we have before us, we are having the first ever Diaspora Remittances. Remittances are a very important element of our, let's say, our economy here in Kenya. And it is something that maybe some of us have just taken for granted because we are sending money home. And so when I lived in the United States, yeah, you send some money home for a particular thing, a particular request, and at times you also send money home for regular expenditures, to the family, schools, etc. But actually put together, they are actually significant. Last year we had something like 3.1 billion US dollars that came from the diaspora, and this is against the backdrop of a very bad 2020 around the world, meaning in the US, in the UK, etc. Most of our remittances, like more than 50% of our remittances, actually come from the United States. People sending this from the United States. So it is important to understand better several points about our diasporan remittances, or rather the remittances that are coming back. So from a perspective of, for instance, how are the remittances coming to us, which channels, and what are the costs on that? When I was in the US years ago, I remember, this is before mobile phones and things like that, I remember I would go to a Western Union sort of shop and try and send money. And it was a rather, let's say, a very unexciting experience. And the cost was phenomenal. So we didn't send money frequently. But now, actually, the cost has come down. But still, it's quite high. It's estimated in the order of 6%, actually, 6% of remittances. But we want to bring this down to below 3%. That is part of our goal. This is a universal goal in the context of the SDGs that we are all aligned to. So the cost is one element. Secondly, are there other inhibitions or other problems, particularly non-cash remittances? Are there problems with regard to the timing, etc., etc.? And we need to understand this. Is there information about investments, meaning that people in the diaspora could actually come and invest in particular, let's say, projects or whatever else it is? It is true there are the let's say, infrastructure bonds, the government security T-bills and others that maybe some of you participate in. But that is only one asset class. There are many other asset classes. As a matter of fact, from my perspective, I look at the example of others, like India, for instance. India, the IT industry in India actually developed on the back of the diaspora, the Indian diaspora coming back and investing in India. And I think there is a lot of potential for Kenyans out there. Of course, we have some of you are, sort of who is who in the US, in Canada, in the UK, et cetera, But I think we need to look at sort of entrepreneurship investments. And is there information about that? And what stops us from making those investments? So I think those are the general points. I'll talk later about maybe the what we are not doing. But I want just to finish on this first point to emphasize that we are the information is not going to be misused, and we can talk a little more about that if you have to ask that question. But I think it is important to appreciate that. Maybe I give this as an example, Andrew. There's this joke. It's a joke. It didn't happen. So there's a flood, okay? And this man is in his house, and his family, goes out, tells him, let's go, it's flooding. And, you can see the water is rising. And says, no, God will save me. So his family abandons him. Then, a little later, the neighbors come on a little motorboat, and sort of say, hey, come, jump in. And says, no, I'm okay. God will save me. Then they leave him. So then the water is rising, he gets on the roof. He gets on the roof of the house, and he's there now. And then there's a helicopter, one of these National Guard helicopters, and they drop a rope to him and tell him, just climb up. And he said, no, I'm okay. God will save me. Guess what happens? The house is demolished. He drowns, and then he goes to heaven, and he's very angry with God, and sort of tells him, how, I trusted in you. Why did you abandon me? And said, wait a second. All those people, I sent them to you. Why didn't you accept that I had sent these people to them?
Mm-hmm.
So I know it's maybe an odd story, but I think the point I would want to emphasize with it is that we do need to reach out to the instruments that are presented before us. And we won't know the answers to those questions if we don't actually use those instruments. We can hypothesize here in Kenya, or you and I can begin hypothesizing what stops investments from coming stronger, or maybe the cost. But the only way to make good decisions is to use the instruments that are in front of us, that are well-established surveys, and in a technically sound way, we'll get better answers. So let's get our skin in the game. Let's stay in the game. And that's the only way we can, we won't win unless we play. So I think it is important. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Governor, and to our viewers, wherever you are, and to those who are listening to us through our app. I want to tell you that this is a very special program. We are here to listen to the wisdom of the Governor of Central Bank, and I want to tell you something. He has been in the diaspora for quite some time, and so he knows exactly what ails and what bothers us, and where our strengths are and where the challenges are. He knows exactly that. And so he's not coming from a point of, just a theory. He has been there in the diaspora practically. And, let's start from here. Why is this survey so important to you, Bwana Governor?
It's important to me because I really feel that there's a lot we are missing or in terms of, let's say, not mobilizing resources, but mobilizing ideas and resources from the diaspora. And it is really for the benefit of the country, but also for the benefit of the specific investors, Kenyans, wherever they are. So from my perspective, you can talk a lot about bringing in, foreign direct investment, et cetera, et cetera. My first point is, what about the Kenyans? I mean, they have skin in the game. They have a passport that says that they are Kenyans. So from my perspective, that should be the first port of call, because they have skin in the game. The others will only incrementally get their skin in the game. But the mere fact, all of us, we ask about the Jamhuri, whether or not, and when other friends are coming here, you get information or whatever other little product you get. So it is important. It is appreciating that really our country can go much farther if we actually work with the people that are out there, that have the smarts, that have ideas, that have ability to put together financing in a proper way. And they happen to be Kenyans. That should be the starting point. So to me, it is the starting point of let's say the development, a stable development, a sort of one that you can say is not going to be pushed around by all sorts of other ideas, etc., etc. That's why this is important. And from my perspective, Andrew or Captain, from my perspective, we need data, we need information. At the time I've been at the central bank, one of the things we have insisted on is to make decisions based on sound data, on sound information. So if we don't have information, we'll have to hypothesize. And that, I think, is the worst of all outcomes, because you have the question, you have the answers, and we could have gotten them through a survey such as this one, and we are just hypothesizing. So I would rather use solid information, hence the survey.
Thank you so much. Let me come to the way. Okay. How will the Kenyan himself or herself in Saudi Arabia, like the ones who are here, or in Lebanon, or in the US, or in Austria? By the way, Kenyans are so dynamic, they are everywhere.
Yes.
How will they benefit themselves? How will I benefit? I spent my 7 minutes. I did it yesterday, by the way, and it was very good. So, how will I personally benefit?
Thank you, Andrew. Captain, I think first and foremost, you'll benefit because we'll begin to understand where the shoe pinches.
Beautiful.
Where the bottlenecks. So you talked about people in Saudi Arabia. You know, their problems are a little different from the people in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the channels that they're using. They're probably different. And therefore, the bottlenecks, or even our brothers in South Africa, the bottlenecks they have are probably a little different. And so we'll begin to get a better feel for where the bottlenecks are, and then find ways to go around them or to remove those bottlenecks. And so you will benefit because we will then begin working to remove those constraints. I mean, I gave you the example of myself 30 years ago, trying to send money. And you're sending what? At that time, you're sending something like $100, and that's a lot of money, in terms, or at least then. It was a lot of money. You had to save it and all that. And you're paying $20. So if there are ways of reducing that cost, that would be phenomenal. So that is one thing. Then other things, of course, is the second element is the issue of investments. You're making investments all over. Mm-hmm. Maybe not significant at this moment, but there are those of you that have significant, let's say, disposable income, and you're making investments. I think expanding your asset class. In asset classes, meaning potential or the sort of investment opportunities. Mm-hmm. I think that is always something that is significant. So you'll start right away. Now, my question is, for instance, maybe some of the people that are listening today do not know that you can actually invest in government securities. That's one. But it isn't just government security. The other opportunities that show up. As I say, quite often we here in Kenya we'll talk a lot about foreign direct investments and investors, who are foreigners, etc. My point is, wait a second. First and foremost, the people that have skin in the game are people like you and me, Kenyans who have that passport that says Kenya there. And that is something that should, in a sense, be music to the ears of the diasporans, or the people in the diaspora.
Thank you so much.
And by the way, the people will benefit, so it's not just them, you in the diaspora, it is also your families here. And I think a lot of us have that very strong connection with family here, as we have seen in 2020, where despite the hardships in the source countries, the remittances to Kenya have soared dramatically.
Thank you so much. I know after participating in the survey yesterday, I saw the questions, and they are very particular on issues that affect Kenyans in the diaspora. We are investing in the real estate. Sometimes money gets lost. We are investing in. Sometimes we want to invest in the government securities, like the governor said. We are sending money to support relatives who are suffering, either sick or in all those questions are there. It is important for us at this juncture to let the Kenyan down in Seattle, Washington, to know what are some of the things, the content in the survey, because sometimes we fear it might end up maybe being an avenue to be taxed more, like somebody told me yesterday. So can we be clear on this?
Captain, let me take that one. Let me take the bull by the horns, as we
Please.
say. There's a fear by some Kenyans, and that this is information that will be used either maliciously or, for that matter, used against them. You know, as I said, we've lived in the US for quite some time. And I do remember the issue of people who are cinepapeles. That's what we used to call them. I'm sure in Texas that you call them the same name. Cinepapeles, which means people who have done undocumented individuals.
Yeah.
This is before anyway. And I think we all lived in this, or they lived in this fear that if they had an accident driving a car, that would actually complicate their life dramatically, and they could be deported because, that has reviewed them, and et cetera, et cetera. My point is that you shouldn't have any of these fears. Why? Because we are telling you that first and foremost, there is no personal information that is being collected. The only, you may say, personal information or information that is maybe specific to you is really just the email address. And I think you have enough computer whizzes in the diaspora who tell you that, that isn't getting you anywhere. As a matter of fact, when you buy anything, even in Amazon, etc., you end up giving them your email address. And the reason for the email address is so that we can actually ask questions if we have any question, about your survey. We have followed a very standard methodology, and meaning minimizing the personal information that is there. Of course, we could have asked numbers, telephone numbers, all these other things, but we have not done that. I want to assure the listeners and viewers that the information, we are not going to deliver the information, say, to the revenue authorities, wherever they are, in Kenya, or for that matter, in other jurisdictions, the US, etc., etc. That is not what this is about. So I want to be completely clear. I've talked about the vital information that, personal information that we are not collecting. And also I want to be clear that it has nothing, and we don't ask questions about your immigration status. Are you in the US or in the UK legally or illegally, or all those other things, or have you? Those are not issues that are pertinent or germane to the remittances. Remittances, you are sending it as a sender, and all we are asking is, what channels are you using? What is the cost? And things about what is it that you're transmitting in terms of non-cash. What are the amounts? For instance, one of the things we have done in Kenya is to expand the channels, the mobile channels, as it were. The banks have expanded some of the, let's say, channels that you can send remittances. And now you can actually receive money from somebody in the US on your mobile phone. And that has been very helpful. But it's not perfect. We need to improve it. Not just about cost, but even on other dimensions. You mentioned just now that on investments, you have, some of you have made investment in what may have been ghost projects, right? Yeah. I mean, it's good to know that. It's good to know that, so that we can actually understand how problematic and information about that is to you, who is in another place, who can probably not verify things directly. So I want to sort of put that to rest, that the information that you're putting in there is really only about the diaspora and your transactions. About remittances and your transactions, and therefore have nothing to do with information that, let's say, other authorities would be interested in. And I can assure you that we will not provide this information to the authorities.
Thank you so much, Governor. I know there are people who are having questions and they would wish to ask them. I want to first of all recognize all our viewers and our listeners, led by the Deputy Ambassador, who is making sure that everything goes right. Thank you so much. I want to make sure that everything is good. Wangeshi, thank you from Seattle, Washington. Giga, thank you so much. All these questions, we are going to ask them. Elizabeth Michaels is in Europe. Thank you. From Denver, Colorado. From Wisconsin, Giga, Monica Bukinya. We have people from Dubai. I see them. And then from Bangkok, there's somebody who is actually asking about the issue of the cost of remittance from Bangkok. That is, let me ask that question. Ask Governor why it is so expensive to transfer money through bank from Bangkok to Kenya. So we find it better using M-Pesa. And I think that is one of the things that we can be able to put on the survey. I saw that question somewhere in the survey. Then there's the issue of, okay, Dr. Shiori, and remember that we are here, courtesy of Diaspora One Voice Consortium. Thank you so much, Dr. Shiori Robert, for making this possible. Tuned in from New York, we would like to know if there would be in the future a bond tailored for the diaspora community, knowing that we can be able to marshal and leverage the diaspora support. I think that is something else that is very important. And I saw in the survey, there's a question, do you know whether there are other things that you can do in Kenya apart from buying a plot? Yeah. The other question, which maybe you can touch on, is from Mwangi Getao from Indiana, asking, say hello to Dr. Patrick Njoroge. Ask him what the government position on financing and making loan acquisition easier for the diaspora community, since many banks have long protocols or the services are not available altogether. I think that is very important. Wangeshi Recho, who is an investor, is asking, at this time of economic downturn, what are we doing to make loans and interest benefit mwananchi? I know there is the issue of the levels, which is at 7%. I don't know whether there is any plan on bringing it down. Can we handle those ones and then we continue?
Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please, Captain. Thank you very much, all of you, for your questions. I'll try and take them more or less one at a time. On the cost of remittances from Bangkok, I think it's good to know that is the case. So, as Captain, you said, I would strongly encourage the viewer to actually put that information in their form when they participate in the remittances, and give a bit more data on that. What we have found generally is that banks are actually a bit expensive. They're more expensive than the other channels, or rather, banks have ended up working with other, let's say, remittance companies, and I think there are many of these. You know, Wild Remit, you know, I think they're called Flow and all these others. Mind you, they may not be the cheapest, but they are at times cheaper than the commercial bank when you go in. It depends also on the quantum. If you're only sending $20, which actually some of us do, you know, sending $20 because, you know, maybe you want to send that $20 to your nephew, which will make a significant difference in his life. And then for you, you decide, okay, fine, I'm going to skip lunch, you know, and that's how you're going to. So I think the channels that we now have lowered the quantum quite a bit in terms of, but the cost also in terms of percentages have come down dramatically. As I say, the overall cost of sending money to Kenya is somewhere like 6%. And that was in 2018, at least according to some numbers that we saw. But we really want to know where this really is, and not just a general number, but you know, through the various channels. So I hope that encourages you to participate in the survey wherever you are, because it will then understand it better. On the bond, this has been discussed again and again and again. I'm talking of a bond that is tailored for the diaspora. And I think, that also is something that can be looked at. But I think even before we get there, we need to appreciate that there are some already investment channels that we can use. So even before you get the diaspora, the so-called the Diaspora Bond would really just, let's say, encourage our diaspora to actually invest in specific projects, etc. And I think that is good. But I want to encourage you also to look in particular, if you're looking at government securities, look at the infrastructure bond. That actually is quite often, well, it's long term, but it also has significant benefits in terms of tax benefits and other features. So I think today and now, I encourage you to look at what there is. And last month actually, we had the biggest bond ever, infrastructure bond. And I think it is because there was a lot of interest also from outside. And I presume a lot of people in the diaspora did invest in this bond. So the answer to the question that Daktari just asked, we don't have a timeline for the diaspora bond, but it is one of the things that are in the pipeline. At this moment, we are trying to, let's say, reprofile some of the loans of the government. But I think you should keep your eyes on the other infrastructure bonds that are going to be offered. Every month we do have an infrastructure bond that is floated. The question by, I don't know who it was, from Indiana, the position on financing to diaspora, and this is things related to borrowing, right?
Yes.
I really think the diaspora is, anybody in the diaspora, when I was there, I should have been, I'm like any other person here in Kenya, meaning the potential for maybe borrowing in Kenya should be exactly like my brother who is here, or my sister who is here. It shouldn't be because I'm outside the country. The point is, when the bank looks at you, they need to know where your revenue stream is coming from. So they need to understand that, and also understand well where your, let's say, your, what securities you're putting forward. It doesn't help to say, well, I'm in the diaspora, you just have to take my word for it that I'm going to pay. Obviously, banks are much more cautious of somebody like myself who would say that. So I think the point here is make your case, and definitely if you're making an investment in Kenya, and definitely if you have securities in Kenya, there's absolutely no reason for a bank to, let's say, treat you any differently from anyone else in the Jamhuri who is investing in the same way, etc. The last point is about Wangeshi asked this question about the cost. And I think what I would say here is that first, we have done a significant, over the last 1 year, we've done significant work to bring, let's say, to support borrowers. I hope you have all seen that banks were encouraged, and they actually went ahead and restructured loans that they had in March 2020 that were performing. Actually, they restructured something like 57% of their loan book. And to me, that is a first. Years ago, bankers were the most hated people, actually more than politicians even. And I say that with evidence. right? And it is because, in a sense, they were demanding their pound of flesh. You know, it doesn't matter whether they put a family out, you know, in the cold. They demanded their pound of. I mean, they were seen as being very, let's say, harsh, etc. But I think COVID, during this COVID crisis, they showed that they were the first ones actually to step forward, and they have done that. As a matter of fact, to me, we have seen the, let's say, the soft underbelly of maybe the way things work here in Kenya, because there has been some people that have been interested in just lining their own pockets, and I think it is no secret. And they did what they know best, which is to line their pockets. You know, even as families are struggling, even as let's say everyone else was struggling with COVID. So anyway, going back to the point, Wangeshi's question, I think the point first was to make sure that those that have investments or those that have a need for borrowing and all that would get the loan. And I think that is something that, and the first thing, of course, was restructuring. But then going ahead, it is really more about information. Wangeshi, I would actually encourage you to read a little more on our website. We've talked a little about this, about the new normal that we've brought banks into. And here is where actually banks are now have signed up to what we are calling the bankers' banking charter, and which is underpinned on things like customer centricity, transparency, providing risk-based pricing of their loans, and also doing the right thing, being good citizens. So I hope I've answered your questions.
Thank you so much. I know that our controller is giving me the signal of a time, and I don't want to go against that, so that we'll be able to do this once again and discuss more things. But as you conclude, it is important for our viewers to know this is the Trumpet of Hope, and with us is the CBK Governor, Dr. Patrick Njoroge, and we feel so honored to have you here. As we wind this up, we are discussing about the Diaspora Remittance survey, and I would wish to encourage everybody to participate in this survey. We have shared the link on the description of this the YouTube video, and also on the Facebook. We have shared everything, so make sure that you go right there. It will take you about 5-6 minutes, and you'll be able to clear it out, and it will help. If you have suffered, like Sarah is asking, what are the instruments which are in dollar? Do you have instruments which are in dollar? And what are you doing to protect the shilling? And then there's somebody else who talked about the unscrupulous property sellers who come in the diaspora and they say we are selling land only to find there's nothing. And there are people even who came a few years ago, and I know that case is still there. I don't want to get into it, but they took so much money from the diasporas, and up to now, I don't know what happened. These are things that maybe people are asking whether they'll benefit from this survey. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Captain. If you don't mind, 2 seconds to sign off before you sign off. First, of course, the questions that have been raised are germane. And so if there are any other questions, I would encourage your viewers to send them to either to you directly, but actually they could also use our channels. We have email, we have Twitter, but I would suggest send them to our email at comms at centralbank.gokenya, go.ke. But anyway, central bank, one word, etc. So I think it is the information in terms of the link, you have provided it. Please go to the link. It's a very short survey. You can do it even now. I think I would encourage you to go directly after this Kipindi, switch to the don't go, actually fill it up, participate 7 minutes maximum, 10 minutes, you'll be done. And I think it will be very useful for the country. I would also, something that you mentioned just now, Captain, is to encourage our friends and wherever they are to be careful about information that comes to them. So I'm talking of these unscrupulous, let's say, people that will promoters of projects, etc., etc. Because they believe that you have the deep pockets, they will probably come to you as in the diaspora. And so let's be careful about these unscrupulous promoters. And having been in the US, yes, we know them. We've seen how they approach us. They approached us before. Maybe now they are no longer approaching me. But I think the point I'm making is the deep pockets problem is there. Having said that, I also want to thank all of you for this evening on this Kipindi. But I would also encourage you to be in touch with us, one or the other. When I come over, when I travel to the US, maybe we could have another conversation. Because I really think there's a lot of other lessons that we can learn. Today we are focused on the Diaspora Remittances survey. But I really think you do have other questions that we can, about the economy and about how things are, I'm talking of economic development here, etc., the challenges that we as policymakers are facing, etc. Yes. And I think you're interested in it. So I do see potential for other conversations later. But yes, for now, thank you very much. Please fill the survey, participate in the survey, and I look forward to meeting you again, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Governor, and we feel we really appreciate. I know there are all those other questions about the diaspora community becoming strategic partners and also participating in any policy making and implementation. So we thank you so much on behalf of all our viewers and the pillars of Trumpet of Hope. This is important. On behalf of the people who are at the embassy, we say thank you so much, and God bless you and goodbye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That has been a beautiful moment, I must admit. And thank you so much. We say thank you. And let's continue working together and participate in the survey, and we see exactly the results. Thank you so much. On behalf of the Trumpet of Hope, shalom, and say hello home.